everyone, welcome to another one of our LinkedIn live events. And today's topic is going to be being confident in romantic relationships. Now, this is a pretty vast topic because there are so many layers and just so many things that I can talk about it in. So, consider this particular event as part one of this. I will be talking more about being confident in romantic relationships and what does it really take on an individual level as on a relationship level in multiple events going forward. So this is going to be part one, and I'm going to cover as much as I can. Now before I move forward, I'm just going to quickly check if my video and audio is clear. If you can see me, just let me know in the comments that you can. Okay, I think it's fine. All right, great. So, for those of you who are attending this live for the very first time, how I conduct this is that I'm going to be explaining to you a topic in depth, and in the end, you can ask me as many questions as you want. You can also ask your questions while the event is going on, as and when the questions come to you, and I will answer all of them. And for those of you who are watching this as a recording, whatever questions come up, whatever confusions you may have, feel free to drop me a DM. And if you're someone who's looking to work with me, there are different levels. The first one that I highly recommend is attending the free 4-day boot camp that I do on childhood trauma healing. It's an incredibly informative boot camp. And once you go through that, you will come out of it at a level of self awareness that you're not even aware of. Right. And it is starting just from today, the coming batch. So we are starting from today from 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. To enroll into the bootcamp, you can like visit my profile and you can find the form there, or you can also DM me bootcamp. And if you're looking to work with me at a much deeper level and you're looking for like proper inner transformation, then you can book a clarity call with me, and we can go ahead. All right. So as usual, before we discuss any confidence related topic, it's very important to first understand what confidence is. Now, I have spoken about this multiple times, but I'm going to say it again. Confidence is nothing but inner safety, right? And what does inner safety mean? Inner safety means that you feel that you belong no matter whatever is happening outside of you, or no matter who you are with, and no matter what external circumstances are present. Now, usually, a lot of people who have volatile confidence, right? People who complain that either I have low confidence or I have had low confidence throughout my life, or people who say that, you know what, I only feel confident in my life, then everything outside of me is going great, which means I'm achieving great, people are validating me, people are liking me, and all of that. So, for such cases, what tends to happen is that their emotional safety, their inner safety is outside, right? Only when things are going well according to them does things go well according things go well inside of them, right? So when that is the case, it's called conditional confidence, and that's not really confidence. Okay, that's like situational confidence. What I'm talking about is inner safety, where you have this deep belief that no matter what happens, I know I will be okay, that no matter what happens, everything is figure outable in my life. That is inner confidence. That is a sense of neutrality, a sense of peace that makes you action oriented, as well as someone who doesn't get bogged down for too long. See, the thing that is different with confident people and those who are not is that it's not that confident people do not face problems. Of course, they face problems. The thing is that they don't get bogged down by it. They don't start procrastinating. They don't start giving up completely, or they don't start having like complete mental breakdowns, and they just decided, okay, I'm not going to move forward in my life. They deal with it, and they still take actions, and that is a recipe for long term success, right? It's not that you don't get problems, it's just that you don't get bogged down by problems, right? You're resilient as a person when you're confident. So that is what confidence really is. Now today we are speaking in the context of relationship confidence. So you must understand that your level of confidence is different in different areas of your life. Okay, so a person can be overall very confident, but the moment they enter into a relationship, they may suddenly lose it altogether, right? They may suddenly become very submissive, or very you know what do you call it, they may become a people pleaser, or they may suddenly lose their sense of individuality. So it does happen that a person who may appear confident may suddenly lose their sense of individuality, their sense of inner safety, the moment they enter into a relationship, right? So is a confident person confident in all areas of their life? No, the answer is no. Okay, you may be academically very good, right? You're professionally doing very well in life, you feel very confident professionally, but when it comes to your relationships, you feel lost. You're unable to make a decision. You keep on attracting toxic partners, you keep on having conflicts with your partner, you keep on having some sort of misunderstanding, and you don't know what to do about it. Where in reality, if it were to be a professional life, you deal with it really good. So just because a person is confident in one area of their life, or appears overall confident, doesn't mean that they may have that same level of inner safety, same level of confidence in every area of their life. Does it mean that it's a problem? No. The very first time I started working out, like in the gym properly with a trainer, before I hired a trainer as well, I felt very underconfident about working out because I knew nothing, right? So what it meant was that I got to learn it. I hired a trainer. I learned what it means to be fit. I learned how to do it sustainably, and I understood what I'm good at, what I'm bad at. But until I actually went to the gym, all I kept thinking was, oh my God, I'm bad at it. I'm never going to be good at it. Right? So if you are someone who feels that, when it comes to my romantic relationships, when it comes to, my partner, that is something I can just never get it right, then please understand that it just means that you're supposed to learn in that area of your life. You just haven't learned yet. Maybe you're just, on level 1 there, and you've reached level 20, level 25 in every other area of your life. Maybe you've reached level 30 in your professional life, you've reached level 20 when it comes to your social circle, you've reached level 15 when it comes to your relationship with your parents, but when it comes to your romantic relationships, maybe you're still on level 1 or level 2, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't know. Also, one more thing to understand is that we kind of live in a culture where, which is very surprisingly, we are not taught how to deal with relationships. And it is so shocking because choosing a partner is is a decision that impacts everything in your life. Can you imagine, you're procreating with someone, you're having kids with someone, you are going to spend your life with someone more than, your parents, your life givers, and you don't know anything about it. You're just taking random decisions based on watching movies, based on looking at your parents' marriage, which may or may not be a good example for you. So this is an extremely important decision, right? The kind of partner you have is going to impact everything. It's going to impact your health, long term health, going to impact your finances the most. In fact, like the biggest factor when it comes to financial education, that experts also tell you, is that choose your partner very wisely when it comes to your finances. Another is your kids, right? The kind of partner you have is going to be a parent to those kids. So everything in your life gets affected when it comes to choosing your partner. Everything in your life gets affected when it comes to your relationship with your partner. So it doesn't matter if you are single right now, or maybe you are, in a relationship but you haven't gotten married yet, or maybe you're married for a few years. It does not matter. The level of commitment right now does not matter. What matters is that you sit down and you understand the gravity of the situation, that this area is going to create the most amount of impact in my life. Because you must understand that after a certain age, right, after this first quarter of your life, maybe after 25, 26, when you start, like most people start dating, after that age, like almost all of them, 99% of the population start dating. And when they do that, like whatever is going on in their romantic relationship creates an impact on their career, on their mental health, on their physical health, on their relationship with their, friends and their parents and everything. So understanding the gravity of the situation, understanding the kind of, impact your romantic relationship is going to have on your life is very crucial. That's the very first fact. That's the very first thing that you need to internalize, which a lot of people don't. Right? A lot of people think that getting married is, everyone does it, so let me just go do it, let me just get done with it, not realizing that this particular decision is going to create an impact in every single area of their life. Right? Now, uh, when it comes to career, you can switch, right? Even when it comes to a partner, yes, you can, break up, you can divorce and everything, but the repercussions of it and the impact of, having not having a good relationship with your partner is much higher than just pivoting your career. Right? And you must understand that there is 10 to 15% of your life that you don't get to choose, which is the family you're born into, your parents, and your childhood situation up until like 17, 18 years of age. After that, for the next 50, 60 years of your life, you get to choose every single thing. And the next closest relationship you're going to have after your parents is going to be your partner, right? And the family you create with them. the family that comes with your partner, right? Your in-laws. So everything, right? So this is the first most important decision you're going to make. So it's very important to first be confident in yourself and also evaluating who do I become when I'm in the relationship. Now, why I mentioned that just because someone is confident from outside or maybe confident professionally may not be the same person romantically, and which is a case that I've seen time and again in my calls as well, coaching calls, is because you need to understand that our romantic relationships work differently, right? They're impacted by a lot of things. So just because you think that okay, I figured out my career, I figured out this and that, doesn't mean that you actually know who do you become in your relationship. You must have seen that some people act very differently when it comes to the relationship, but when it comes to outside they act very differently. So what is this difference is what I'm talking about. So it's very important to understand your own identity in relationship to when you are with a partner. And that is what I want to dive deep into today in our discussion, as well as the coming discussions we are going to have on this particular topic. Now, what does it really mean to feel confident in relationships? I'm just going to give you three things, okay, for now, just to give you the basic understanding. The very first thing is, are you able to think independently? What do I mean by this? A lot of times what tends to happen with people when they're in relationships is they tend to lose their sense of independent thinking, right? They start to think either from their partner's point of view only, or they always think in terms of uh, will this be okay with the relationship or not. Now, to a level it's good, right? It means that you have harmony, but it's very important to have individual independent thinking and being able to say that I like this, I want this, maybe my partner may not like it, and being able to communicate that to your partner. Because when you are unable to think independently, what it does is you start to lose your identity. And this fear that a lot of people talk about, that oh, I'm very afraid of getting married, I'm very afraid of getting into a relationship, it's the loss of identity they experience. A lot of people just say that, oh my god, life becomes hard after getting married, life becomes hard after getting into a relationship, or there's this responsibility that they feel. And when you look at their life, right, the responsibility, I mean, unless and until you have not had kids, like if you are a couple without kids, then if you really think about it, it's not a lot of things should change in your life, right? It's just two people. And I'm assuming that you both are independent financially as well, for the sake of discussion, that you are coming together and you're living under one roof and you're living your life with someone you actually love. So it shouldn't feel like that big of responsibility, but it does. So this invisible weight a lot of people feel after getting into a relationship is this: it's loss of identity, because they're unable to think independently the way they used to when they were single. That's also where commitment issues come into the picture, where people feel that. And specifically, I will mention in the case of men and women both. Men tend to feel that I'm gonna have to sponsor someone, I'm going to have to take responsibility of someone emotionally, financially, and everything. So they feel this huge pressure on their head that I have to have everything figured out. That's why you will see that when it comes to, actually having long term commitment, men tend to get scared a lot. And with women, they are told that they have to somewhere reach an epitome of perfection, right? They're supposed to know everything. They're supposed to know how to cook and clean, and if they're financially independent, then get that right as well, and then prepare for kids as well, because their biological clock is ticking in, yada yada yada. And they're told that they're supposed to meet this standards that people have for their daughter-in-laws and as a wife and everything. So both the genders feel equally pressured, right, in their own way. So all of this is a result of not like thinking that I will have to give up my independence, I will have to give up my independent thinking the moment I get into a relationship, when in reality a relationship is not supposed to be that. A relationship is supposed to add on to your happiness, not take the existing one away, right? If it's taking the existing one away, it means that a lot of the things are missing, right? Now the next thing is, are you able to voice your opinion? Which means that whatever you're thinking, maybe let's say you're thinking independently, but when it comes to actually communicating with your partner, are you able to do it? So I like to call this thing as you know a self-aware person who has lost their voice, right? Like a mute self-aware person. So this stage is where you're able to think independently. You know what the issues are. Like, you can see, this is where I'm feeling unsatisfied. This is how I would want my partner to be, but they are not, and I don't know how to tell that to them. There is a decision I want to take which is different from what my partner wants, or what my partner believes in, but I don't know how to say it. So, what is happening is that even though you're able to think independently, you're unable to communicate. You feel like you've lost your voice. And this can again happen to both men and women. Mostly, and again, gender is irrelevant here, it happens to people who think that they have to give up something to be in the relationship, right? So, here again, you must evaluate, do you feel that you have a voice when you are in the relationship? Right? And the third thing is that, are you able to choose yourself over the relationship and over your partner? Now, there is another misconception that I don't agree with and I don't propagate, is that people tend to think that you need to compromise when you're in a relationship, right? And that's a bad word, right? When you are in a relationship, you're supposed to adjust, accommodate, not compromise. Okay. And people tend to use these words in interchangeably. So sorry, I forgot the word. Interchangeably, right? What they think is, I'm adjusting, but what they're really doing is compromising, right? Compromising on maybe their values, compromising on their hobbies, compromising on the things that they love, compromising on the way that they want to live their life, compromising on their career and other things. So, are you able to choose yourself over the relationship and over your partner? Are you able to do that? Because that's a very big sign, as to whether this relationship is going to be sustainable for you. And more than that, it's going to add on to your happiness. Because you must understand that when you are into the relationship and when you're with the right person, they will celebrate your independence. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you're hurting them, or you are like, you know what, this is what I want and go to hell. I'm not talking about that. Okay. I'm not talking about extremes. I'm talking about, do you feel comfortable enough to choose yourself? Do you feel comfortable that, you know what, I like this? My partner may not like this, but I feel confident enough to tell that to him. And I also feel confident that I will want to choose this. Do you feel safe enough to do that? So these are like three parameters to really, really reflect on and answer that, do I have all of this? Do I feel that I can think independently? Do I feel that I can voice my opinion, voice my independence? And third is, I can actually choose myself over my partner, over my relationship. Do I feel free enough to do that? And that is going to determine your confidence level in your relationships, your confidence level when you enter a relationship, right? Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. If you see me looking down, I'm either looking for on my phone for the questions, or I'm looking at my notebook. I'm just going to see if there are any questions. Okay. So far, no. So we'll go ahead. Now, now we're going to discuss 5 factors that actually determine your confidence level in your relationship. Now, this is again as much as I can cover, but this is part one. We are going to go into more depth in the coming sessions as well. The very first thing to see, the very first factor that determines your confidence in your relationship is your strengths. Knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your triggers, and knowing what you actually want in life. This is the very first step, right? To condense it, I would say knowing yourself. Do you know yourself at a level where you're deeply aware about what you're good at, what you're not good at, what triggers you otherwise and in the relationship, and what do you actually want in your life? What do you want in your life? Be in terms of professionally, be in terms of personally, what do you actually want? What are your value system? What are the things that you deeply believe in and you cannot compromise when it comes to a relationship? Now, a lot of times people tend to think that, or people tend to pursue relationships just out of this loneliness that they have, that I need someone. Like, I just need someone to be there for me, I just need someone to take care of me. And when they come from this very strong feeling of need, that I need someone, I need someone, I need someone, they either end up attracting a person that is not aligned with them, or they may end up attracting a toxic person, or they may end up attracting someone, which kind of um, looks good on the paper, but they're not really happy with them. And when they get into the relationship, right, and they're unable to understand why it is happening, right, they're unable to understand that why am I not able to get along with this person, or why is this person doing xyz things, it is not okay with me, right? And the one most of the time, the reason is that you actually don't know yourself well enough. You yourself don't know that this is what I want and this is what I don't want. So let's take an example, okay? Let's say that there is person A who doesn't want their partner to travel long distance when it comes to work for a long time, right? And they know that, right? And they've always made sure that they ask this to their partner whenever they're about to get into a relationship or whenever they want to get married. And person B doesn't know this, right? So when person A and person B is looking for a partner, person A ends up getting a partner who is not traveling long term for their work, and they're happy with it. Why? Because they knew what they wanted. Whereas person B gets a partner who has to travel long term for work, and they weren't really sure whether this would be okay with them or not. Then they got into the relationship, and now a few months down the line, the partner's traveling all the time, and then they are getting angry, they're getting upset, they're losing their mind, they're feeling horrible. They keep thinking, why is my partner doing this, and yada yada, and xyz things. But in reality, the partner then would say that, you know what, I did tell you. Then you may feel, okay, now I don't like it. So this is not how it works, right? So when you don't know yourself well enough, you may not only confuse yourself, you may also confuse the partner, right? And this is not fair on either of you. This is not fair on your partner, specifically when they've communicated something to you, and this is not fair on you either, and this is definitely not fair on the relationship. So it's incredibly important to be very, very self-aware, which is knowing what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and what are my triggers, what are the things that are not okay with me. This is also where a lot of people go wrong, which is they don't really reveal the triggers to their partner. For example, let's say that you are someone who is let's say not okay with a lot of partying. Okay, that's something that just you just don't like. Okay, and that's something that kind of maybe irritates you, or you feel like I want to have quieter time with my partner. And then you end up let's say meeting an extrovert, and you like them. Okay, you like them, you really like them, and because you like them, you don't mention the fact that, you know what, a very big part of your lifestyle is something I'm not a fan of, right? You don't reveal your trigger, and then you get into the relationship. So what will happen here? You will get irritated when they are simply exercising their interest, right? They like partying, it's their interest, and they have never hidden it from you. You hid the fact that I don't like this, right? And there's nothing wrong in not liking something. So here you may try to control them, you may become angry at them, you may feel like they're abandoning me, and your partner may feel frustrated that this person is trying to cage me, this person is trying to not let me be myself. So what is going to happen to a relationship like this? A lot of misunderstanding, a lot of conflicts, and ultimately it may not work out. So if something triggers you, could be anything in the world, reveal it to your partner. Tell your partner that this is something I don't like, so are you okay with this? When you tell the person straightforward, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, you make it incredibly clear. So the person who is actually willing to be with you, who's willing to match your expectations, is going to come to you faster, because you're not playing around games. So here the answer to this problem is deep self-awareness. So take a notebook and write down, what are my values? What do I believe in the most? For example, me as a person, me as a partner, my big value is honesty. I don't like when people lie to me. I don't like when people hide things from me. I'm a very big fan of honesty. I prefer that if I'm with someone, they just tell me what the problem is and we can work on it. Right? So write down what exactly are your values. What are three or four things you absolutely want in your partner? Then write down, okay, not to your partner, what are the values you have? Then write down what are your strengths in a relationship, what are your weaknesses in your relationship, what are your triggers in a relationship, what is something that a partner may do or can do that may trigger you. And here, a very good example to take experience from could be your relation, like your previous relationships, in case you are like trying to get into a new one. Or maybe let's say you are in a relationship right now, and maybe you're married. So take inspiration from the past fights that you have had with your partner, and try to write down and take experience from that, that what is something that triggers me about my partner, what is something that my partner would do that would deeply trigger me. Now, let's come to the second point, which is again a very ignored one, but a very important one: your emotional and mental state when you have entered into the relationship. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, a lot of times people enter into a relationship from a place of either loneliness, that I need someone, I have to have someone, if I don't have someone, what's like, I can't live my life, so I need to have someone. Either that's the energy, or the energy is I don't know who I am without a relationship, I need someone to validate me, I need someone. Or excitement as well, that what, let's see, let's just see that what's going to happen. Now, the loneliness part and this part that I need a relationship is a horrible place to come from, and I'll tell you why. See, when your emotional and mental space is not right, you can attract the exact same low quality person in your life. Which means that when you're lonely and when you're needy, right, your standards are very low. Your standards drop down. Like they drop down a lot. So in that moment, what's going to happen is, and see, you will only attract based on what the energy you put out. That's the only thing you're going to attract. It's never going to happen that you're feeling horrible about yourself when you're going to attract, a person who will actually uplift you. So what's going to happen is you will end up attracting someone who will not live up to your standards, and more than that, he or she is going to give you very little, hardly anything. And then you may wonder, oh my God, I'm in a relationship, I'm still not getting anything. But then you must ask, what was my headspace when I was getting into the relationship? Was I needy? Was I lonely? What was my energy like when I ended up attracting this partner? And you will see the energy will match. When your self esteem is low, when your standards are low, you will attract a partner who will meet exactly that. They will give you nothing or very little in return. It would be a breadcrumbing situation where they're giving you very little and you're just clinging on to it, right? Another is knowing your emotional and mental state as the relationship progresses. Now, what do I mean by this? See, in the beginning, when your mental state is not good, when your emotional state is not good, you're in a mess, you may end up attracting a wrong partner in your life. Okay, that's for sure. But it does happen that you realize it. Okay, you realize that this person is not right for me. This person cannot give me what I want or what I need. My standards are here, and this person can only meet here. Now, this may happen because maybe you have started working on yourself, maybe your confidence has developed, maybe you've come out of this loneliness and needy phase. So what has happened, that initially when your standards were here, when you attracted your partner, now it has gone to here. Now what tends to happen to a lot of people in this case, which we call the middle of the relationship, is that they become conflicted. Okay, they know that they have to let go of this partner because they are not happy. There's this constant feeling where they're always wondering that, should I break up, should I not break up. They have to convince themselves to be with the partner. They have to count every day, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. They don't feel this gratitude from within, that I'm so lucky to have this partner, right? So they are always adjusting, they're always trying to lower the standard, that what, come down, because my partner can only meet me here. So this disappointment is always there. So here, now you have a choice, right? You have a choice to either continue this for years and years, which again, a lot of people do. I have had people who have come to me with 10 years of marriage, 15 years of marriage, and have told me that, Rianji, I know this is not working, but I don't know how to let go. And when I asked them, when was the first time you realized this was not working? It was within months. People told me that it was within months that I realized it was not working. So you will know, believe me when I tell you, you will know when the partner is not right for you. And that is where, the decision has to happen. That is this person someone I really want to be with for the next 20, 30 years of my life? Do I really want to keep compromising or adjusting? So evaluate your emotional mental state here. What are you feeling about this relationship? When you look back, what would you be more proud of? The fact that you walked away or the fact that you continued? And here the solution to this problem and this stage is first is being very honest. Just accept it. Okay, if something is not working, just accept it. That's the best thing you can do for the heaviness you feel in your body. Accept it that yes, it feels like it's not working and I can see it. The second is doing inner work. Go to a coach that you feel aligned with, sit down with them and do deep inner trauma work so that you can release this confusion, this lack of decisiveness, and this sadness that you are feeling so that you can finally make a call. So, the answer to this problem is honesty, pure honesty. Just say it. You don't have to go and say it to someone. You can say it to your coach, yes, that would be great. Or you can stand in front of the mirror and just accept it that, you know what, this is not going right. And I'm not going to convince myself. A lot of times, people delay their decisions not because they don't know the right decision to take. It's because they keep convincing themselves. They keep convincing, they keep lying to themselves. Don't do that. Just accept it. If it's not going well, just accept it. And the second is do the inner work so that you can have the strength and the courage to make an informed decision, right? Now, the third thing is how much do you really know your partner and what they want? Now, this is an important thing because, again, a lot of people just get into the relationship or get into a romantic relationship and decide to marry from a place that, you know what, I'm just feeling it. Or, you know what, this person was there for me in my bad times, so I have to be there for them. Or, we have been together for 5 years, 6 years, so I have to be with this person. So they don't actually come from a place of, okay, this is who my partner is, and we are aligned in this. They come from a place of either this blind loyalty or they come from a place of obligation that, oh my God, this person was there for me, so I have to just choose this person only. Or they come from a place of, again, neediness and loneliness, where though they don't evaluate anything at all. They just get into the relationship because they just can't stay alone, which is, again, a very big red flag. If you are with someone like that who cannot stay alone, send them to do deep inner work with a coach. If you are someone like that, please do your inner work. Okay, otherwise you will keep on suffering, and you will make your partner suffer as well. So coming back to the point, now how do you really understand that I know my partner well enough? So here, what I'm so two things. Okay, one is, were you very clear that these are the qualities I wanted in my partner before you decided to commit to this person? If the answer was no, then please sit down and make a list today. Second is, let's say you are committed right now. Maybe you are in a relationship, you're dating, or maybe you're married. Have you actually sat down with your partner and asked, what do you want in the next 5 years of your life, in your personal life, in your professional life, in your financial life? With if you have kids, then with kids, how would you like to parent our kids? What is the vision you have for us? Where do you think our life should be going? Have you actually sat down and spoken to them and asked their opinion in an open ended question? Not looking for a yes or no answer, but actually ask them what do they think. That is going to reveal to you whether the relationship that you have is actually going in the right direction or is just an illusion. Because a lot of times we get so busy and caught up in our lives, we stop paying attention to our partners, and more than that, we stop even asking our partners what they really want. And specifically when our partners are not communicative, it can take a big toll. It can, things can bubble up. And that is why, breakups that also feel like it happened out of the blue, it doesn't really happen out of the blue. Nothing and no relationship falls apart in a day's event. It's always a slow, like slow disconnection that happens. It always starts with lack of communication. So sit down and ask, really really ask, like sit alone and ask your partner, what do you want from your life? Do you think we are going in the right direction? Where do you see yourself after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years? What do you think you want from your professional life? What do you think you want from your personal life? How's your relationship with your parents going? Where do you think our relationship is going, and where would you like it to go? And then also share what you feel about all of these questions to them. This is going to open up important discussions. This is going to open up discussions about whether you're actually aligned or not about your life goals. A lot of times you would see that People say that, you know what, our life goals are just not aligning anyone, that's why we had to part ways, right? So this is a result of not knowing your partner well enough. See, because your partner has a brain, right? It's not that they're not thinking, they are thinking and they are planning just the way you are. So it's very important to have, always have this line of communication with them, where you are evaluating where things are going every, quarter, maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, or maybe anytime you feel like it, where you just sit down and reflect with your partner together. So this is going to not only create honesty, not only going to create a safe space just for your relationship, it's also going to make your partner feel safe enough to come and tell you something instead of keeping it inside, which means less conflicts, no miscommunication, no misunderstanding. Okay. So here the one thing to do is, first, if you are someone who is right now not in a relationship, sit down and make a list of the qualities you want in your partner, the values you want in your partner, the kind of qualities you want in your partner, and what do you want your relationship to be like, right? So make a very specific list. Make a list. Make a list of negotiables and non-negotiables, which means that if you're writing 10 qualities, divide them into, 5 and 5, that these are 5 things that are absolutely non-negotiable. Which means that, for example, one of my qualities to be in a relationship with someone is honesty. If I feel that a person is not honest, no matter how great they are, I cannot be with them, right? So that's a non-negotiable for me. But maybe negotiable for me is, let's say, how somebody looks, or how much money they are making, because that is not the first thing I'm looking for, because again, that I'm not dependent on them. So write down and be honest about your non-negotiables. What are the things that you absolutely want in your partner, and what are the things that, maybe you can negotiate with? Let me, like, it's, you're okay with, things being a little bit 8 or 10. So sit down and write about it. And if you're someone in a relationship right now, please have this conversation with your partner. Discuss what do they really want, and ask the questions that I've listed in the past 2 to 3 minutes. And this is also going to help you not only increase your confidence in the relationship, but also the entire stability of the relationship. So when we don't have conversations like this, right, what tends to happen is that the person is always wondering. Okay, the person is always in the guessing mode. Where is it going? I don't really know, but I don't want to ask also. How do I even begin this conversation? So you kind of lose faith in yourself as well, right? You become more and more underconfident. You also start losing faith in the person or in the relationship. So this is a very important parameter, and it's very important to have this discussion. Okay, before I move forward, I'm just going to quickly see if there are any questions. Okay, so far not. So we will continue the discussion. Now, the last parameter is going to be levels of different things. So I'm going to mention the 4 things. One is, what is the level of self love that you have? Now, again, what tends to happen with people who lack self love is that they enter into the relationship with this very low self esteem and this very horrible self image of themselves. And they try to compensate into the relationship. They, give more because they think that their partner is doing some sort of a, what do you call it? I forgot how to frame that sentence, but as if, the your partner is doing something very special by being with you, right? So this person starts like feels this, oh my god, this gratitude, and because of this, there's a very high chance that you may get exploited emotionally, financially, even physically, because you feel this obligation to your partner because your level of self love is incredibly low. It may also mean that you are become a people pleaser. It may also mean that you are putting your partner above anything, right? Like you would choose your partner over you every single day. It's very easy for you to choose your partner over you. The next is, are you lonely or not? Right? How fulfilled do you really feel? So if you are someone who's lonely, there's a very, very high chance that you will end up attracting the wrong people in your life, because you're not looking for a partner, right? Because partner means what? Part, right? A better half. You are looking for someone to come and fulfill the loneliness you feel inside. So when your level of loneliness is very high, when you don't feel fulfilled from inside without a relationship, then it's a very big red flag. It means that you will end up attracting a low quality partner in your life. And then you will try to, you will fight with them, you will force them into being someone they are not, when in reality they're telling you that I'm not this person. You must have seen a lot of times people go into relationships with people who just don't want to give anything to them. And they keep saying that through their actions, even through their words, that I just can't give something to you. And instead of leaving, these people keep on either begging, they will, cry, they will force them, they will fight with them. Because the level of loneliness is so hurtful that they, instead of breaking up, they would rather be in the toxic relationship. So evaluate how fulfilled you really feel. Then next is ability to say no. So are you able to say no to your partner? That's a very important thing as well. Because if you're not able to say no, what's going to happen is you will revolve your life around the partner. You will never be able to choose yourself. And when you're not able to choose yourself, what is happening is you're losing yourself into the relationship. Which means that if tomorrow your partner were to decide to walk away from the relationship, or if, let's say, your relationship is not going well, it's going to feel like your entire world is crashing. And it happens to some people, right? Sometimes what tends to happen to some people is that if their relationships are not going well, right, for whatever reason, they feel like I have become paralyzed. They feel paralyzed. They feel like the world has ended. And there could be, friends in their life. There could be a career they have to look forward to. They have family, but they will ignore everything. It feels like the entire world is crashing. Why? Because these people tend to get lost in the relationships. They tend to look for love, fulfillment, and everything. They're willing to do anything and everything for their partner, right? And this creates a very big disharmony, because you must understand that your life is like a pie chart, right? And like, how pie charts have these areas, right? So your relationship should not take more than 25 to 30% of your life. It should not. If it's taking, it's a very big red flag. There are other areas of your life, like your friendships, your social circles, your career, your relationship with your family, your own personal hobbies, things that you do alone, things that you do for yourself. There is spirituality, there are personal interests. So your life is very big, no? And when you completely lose yourself in your relationship, it means that what you're doing is you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. And most people who lack self-love and have very low self-esteem tend to do this a lot. And this is what keeps them, feeling underconfident in the relationships. The next is conflict resolution. Now, are you someone who is able to resolve conflicts in the relationship, like with smoothness, with confidence, or not? Because if you're someone, let's say, who either gets very angry, you put everything on your partner, you become very aggressive, you say mean things, you say things that you should never have said, then you regret it. Or maybe you're someone who just keeps everything inside. You just don't say anything, and then you keep bubbling up that anger and resentment, and one day you may either lash out or you start distancing yourself from your partner. Both of them are very toxic. Both of them is unfair to your partner and to yourself and to the relationship. If you're aggressive, get help for your anger management. And if you are emotionally distant, if you suppress something, again, get help. Because in both the cases, your partner deserves better. And the last is honesty. If you can't be honest with what you want with your partner, then the relationship is just not going to last. And more than that, even if it lasted, you will be unhappy in it. Because happiness comes from honesty, it does not come from lying or convincing, right? Now the very last part is childhood trauma. Now this is a concept I'm going to explore in depth in the coming session, which is going to be on most probably Friday. So you must understand that the reason we are the way we are in a romantic relationship is because of two things. Okay, one is the kind of marriage we have witnessed our parents having, because that is the very first model of relationship we have. Second is our own childhood trauma, which is our own level of confidence that fluctuates because of the trauma that we went through, our anxiety, our belief about ourselves and the world, our level of trust, right? So childhood trauma is where you don't you haven't felt emotionally safe, and you have never really grown up in a household where you have learned healthy behaviors, where you've learned to regulate your emotions, and when you've always seen a lot of conflicts. What tends to happen here is that the person may either always have very conflict ridden relationships, or they may always feel like a victim, or they may always chase the wrong men. They're always chasing the wrong men or women. So all of this is a result of trying to get love from their partner that they could not get from their families. So this is a whole topic that I will be covering in the coming session. Thank you so much for all of you for attending so far. Now, if there are any questions, feel free to text me. I think so far we have none. So I hope that those of you who are watching this as a recording do come up with your questions and text me. And if you want to join the bootcamp, feel free to text me the word bootcamp and I will add you to the group. I had a lot of fun hosting all of you after I think a week, and we'll continue the coming session on Friday. Bye bye.